Alligators in Red Dead Redemption 2 are more dangerous than your local butcher finding out you have gone down the path of darkness when in reality you have just turned vegan. They can be peaceful creatures at the best of times as long as you don't shoot them, look at them, invade their personal space, or steal their eye as payback for losing your hand because you tried practicing your dentistry skills on a prehistoric animal. If you don't do any of those things, you will do fine in life and manage to pacify creatures that will nab your leg off for making life inconvenient for them and not paying attention like the spatially stunted penis you are. I think it's pretty well researched that alligators have a strong fascination with civilization, cities or otherwise areas with rather large amounts of concrete built on a surface that has the same integrity as a stack of jammy Dodgers. Anyway, what if you played Red Dead Redemption 2 as an alligator? First off, I spawned as the legendary albino alligator that looks like the symbol of a far-right party. Started edge walking towards the camera, obscuring myself behind the long grass, blending in perfectly like a plate of pork pies at a hotel buffet, only to then say you're not watching this in slow motion and this is as fast as I can go. I took a shot at herding my own group of bison who were absolutely terrified of their new shepherd. That fear melted away when they noticed that I could move at the same top speed as a Tonka truck in the wrong gear. Came across a fellow farmer who looked like he could do with an early retirement. Unfortunately, his house was too small for my massive size, and when I say house, I mean his backyard. That's what she said. I got stuck in fences, in walls, sometimes it was both at the same time. The connotations are only getting worse at this point as I'm saying this out loud. Even the farmer came out to have a watch and enjoy the show. Jesus fuck, what the I was slowly edging my way to the town of Blackwater, fuck you. Anyway, on the outskirts of the town, I came across a group of gypsies chilling out. I went to say hello, and immediately I started floating into the air like the second coming of Jesus. This woman, however, believed me to be the devil and started getting into a fist fight with me, even though I am an alligator that weighs around 1,000 pounds and is about as long as the length you'll go to get anything from a B&Q sale. She chased me out of the camp, and as I entered the city limits, she turned around and ran off like she forgot her car keys. Walked into town and into a group of women who immediately fought back, which I later found out they were Spanish, so that makes sense. I got into town and I wasn't able to attack anyone at all. I suppose that swamp boat driver was right. The bigger they are, the less fucks they give. Funny enough, the NPCs were doing a fine job at fucking everyone else's lives anyway, and I strolled on down the street as if everything was completely normal. After using my head as a makeshift crowd disperser because I couldn't eat anyone, I turned into a normal alligator that you see all around the swamps in the game. One individual even attempted to fight back and I started dodging and weaving around the bullets he was firing like I was fucking Neo from the Matrix. Disappointed all the fancy saloons were closed that day. Had no idea why they would be. I saw lots of people on the street earlier screaming for a whiskey, but I guess I misinterpreted that. Chased a guy around a bunch of plant pots, killed another guy, but unfortunately it was right in front of a policeman officer, and using my amazing charisma I was able to acquire some kind of arrangement at the very least, and he let me off with a warning. One citizen still wasn't getting the idea that I have the same powerful bite force as the crushing inevitability that is your tax bill. Killed some high-class individuals and stole a wagon, and the driver of said wagon could not figure out whether or not he wanted it back. Maybe because he was desperately trying to decipher the meaning of the song Should I Stay or Should I Go by The Clash. After shaking around more people than an airline during an incredibly turbulent flight, I left Blackwater, found an injured person riding his horse back to town from, by the looks of it, an audition for the role of Boromir. I got onto his horse. Well, I say got onto his horse, it was more like inside his horse, looking like some creature from mythological tales. The guy had an entire quiver in his back, however he carried on walking. Why, you ask? I have no bloody idea. Maybe he's really dedicated to his day job. As I was enjoying the captivating visual of my pair of bright red eyes, I found a fisherman chilling out by the river. His horse was not going to stick around for the gruesome death of his owner, like someone walking out of the cinema of a scary movie or your best friend leaving you to get mugged in an alleyway. I slowly crawled up to him, thinking I had the complete jump on him, only to realise this guy is the ancestor of Jeremy fucking Wade, and had his own way of dealing with river monsters. Okay, yeah, that was a bit too on the nose, but fuck it. Anyway, saved his life from accidentally stumbling into the rapids of a nearby river, and I chased down a squirrel because, honestly, fuck squirrels. Travelled to New Austin, casually stepping outside the comfort zone for an alligator from a moist, damp swamp that could be reminiscent of your mum's undercarriage at the Sailor's Bar to a great big dust ball of absolute fuck all. The New Austin sniper was enjoying himself as he had plenty of practice on my giant scaly body. Still find it funny that no one knows where he shoots from when it's clearly obvious he's sniping us from the fucking moon. Moving on, I shrugged off the bullets, leaving with more red spots than a man suffering from a venereal disease. I arrived in Armadillo, got chased by an angry yet determined town crier with a bell.
Place is unwell! Everybody, get out of here! Armadillo is unwell! Devil has the town in his hand!
Killed a few more people because their hospitality was too damn hospitable. Arrived in Tumbleweed, found that cocky sheriff who believes he has everything under control, and gave him a problem where he has to avoid looking like a tasty sandwich. He ultimately failed, quite quickly as well. Got stuck behind a crate and arrived at a gang hideout belonging to the Del Lobos. I greeted every single member of the gang, except for those hiding in that fucking cave. I guess the cave fairies put a spell on alligators, and when they see a cave, it makes them react like someone suffering from asthma in the summer being told to go outside. After that, I went straight to Fort Mercer, where more Del Lobos were hiding. I killed a few more of them and walked past a functioning Gatling gun. Now, who could refuse an offer like that? Well, it turns out the game can. By crashing. The game saw an alligator trying to operate heavy machinery and decided to slap its wrists together and smash its face into a wall. I relaunched the game and made my way back to Fort Mercer using a familiar fast travel cinematic. Don't look at me like that when you're moving at the pace it takes to cancel your online subscription to a very clingy retail store. Fast travelling really is a godsend. Infiltrated the fort, started mauling its inhabitants to death, except for those ones who mastered the art of climbing up to higher ground, because alligators have the same traversal skills as a horse with wheels for legs. Continued my tour of this desolate fortress that hasn't got any notable changes from what it's based off, except for the Gatling gun rodeo show they've got going on in the front garden. Went to Thieves Landing, and if you've seen my previous video will know that despite my intimidating presence as a cow, I was less effective than thinking grenades would work better as a replacement for Christmas crackers. Anyway, I continued to use the enemy rib cages as toothpicks, fell into the river accidentally, but as an alligator I was in my ideal environment, but even in the water I was still going at the same speed as an old man trying to parallel park, and I just floated around making sure all the enemies got their practice in at the makeshift gun range. Entered the smaller area of their base and thanked them all for standing still right next to each other. Returned to my swampy homeland and started having a little gander around an area that was more wet than an unresolved moisture problem in a listed building. Bumped into a guy riding a horse who promptly fell off said horse due to an injury. He couldn't communicate all that well, so I just stood there like a GP trying to come up with a reason not to refer him. I tried helping, but there was no such luck. After going deeper into the swamp, I found a guy who had been poisoned by a snake. Of course, alligators are fantastic doctors, even though their motto, if you cough, chop it off, wasn't something that could easily be marketed. Should have got the people who worked at EA. Anyway, he seemed to be doing better as soon as I brought up the procedure, as he chased me round in circles, and the only thing that was missing was the Benny Hill soundtrack. This guy really couldn't just leave a bad Yelp review, could he? As he keeps following me for so long that I'm starting to wonder if he was faking his injury to prove some kind of point. I came across some clues in a legendary hunt activity that, as an alligator, I could interact with. Except I couldn't activate my hunter's instinct to see where the trail goes, so I actually had to use my eyes to identify which way the tracks were going, which in a swamp is quite easy with 80% of the terrain being fucking mud. But I definitely felt like I was walking around with a handicap, like a chef at a 5-star restaurant only being able to make spaghetti bolognese. After more clues were found, I had discovered the creature that left them. The legendary albino alligator, which I turned into earlier, so I guess we've come full circle. We locked eyes and slowly walked towards each other like we've just entered a Dark Souls boss fight. Well, for about 5 minutes it did, because after that he turned around and went home. Clearly, he had his friendly fire mode turned on. Wait, hang on, Google's to make sure he's correct. I meant he had it turned off. Fuck! It's one of them, I guess, I don't know. Anyway, I kept bothering him to find out why he wasn't attacking me like a little brother confused that he's gone a week without being beaten up by his older sibling. Moving on, I decided to go up into the snowy mountains up north, because as a cold-blooded animal in cold as fuck temperatures, it was about as welcoming as going to France and trying to speak their language. Upon further research about how they deal with cold weather, they actually turn into fucking ice cubes to deal with this sudden weather change. I guess alligators are the only animals to actually choose to be frozen because they are so stubborn they make a rusted bolt on a car tyre more yielding. Now, I wanted to see what it would look like if Arthur turned into an alligator, except not really. In other words, select the copy model only setting, otherwise the game will start acting like an unpopular governing body during a dystopian 1984. I decided to do this during the final mission of the game to see how tone-deaf the transformation would end up being. Turns out it makes Arthur look like the Invisible Man cosplaying as a prehistoric reptile. Because of this, Arthur only talks in the cutscenes and not during gameplay, otherwise the game will probably end up losing its shit. Gotta give credit to the motion capture though, as even without a face, Arthur is able to conduct more emotion than a lamppost with its only light bulb flickering desperately. The running animation is pretty fucking ridiculous, as with the alligator's tail sticking out of Arthur's invisible arse, it makes him look like a golden retriever who hasn't seen his owner in years despite only popping out to the shops for a second. After freeing Abigail, I pushed her into the river because her ragdoll animation kicked in quite easily and I got a bit carried away. Met up with Dutch and Micah and enacted the most extraordinary cutscene I have ever seen. Anyway, I think that's going to be it for what you can do as an alligator in Red Dead Redemption 2. Kill people, and that's about it. So it's no different to playing the game normally. It is also a shame that the only way you could play as an alligator in the campaign is to turn Arthur into some kind of experiment that should never have gone past the research stage. Well, that will do for this video. I hope you enjoyed the adventures of an alligator using every single person in the 20th/19th century as a human toothbrush. If you did enjoy the video, then be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. I would very much appreciate it, especially since you made it to the end. If you would like to see another video of mine, it will be on screen. Trust me, you will have an absolute blast with it. Anyway, thank you for putting up with me and for lending me your patience, and I will hopefully see you all in the next video.